All right, folks, you know what time it is. It's Eddie Hearn time. Hearn Unleashed. Welcome to the show, Eddie.
How we doing, Ak? Just me and you today, right?
That's right. Barack still has, I don't know, some stomach issues.
I'm not sure, Ak. I think I've noticed with Barack lately, he could be ready to spread his wings. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that,
no, it's just
I've
that
noticed he's getting a bit big time. I think he might be looking at other opportunities. I know you two are pals, but
he just gets nervous.
For this. There's no loyalty in this game.
But listen, Eddie, there's a lot of fights that happened this weekend. Look, I'm fresh off the jet from San Antonio, so I got to get your opinion on the young star Ryan Garcia. Long layoff, new trainer. What was your take on the fight? And did you watch the entire fight?
Most of the fight. I mean, look, firstly, brilliant to see Ryan Garcia back. So good for boxing. Good young man. I feel like when you are in with an opponent that doesn't really want to engage, a guy that's there to survive, it's difficult to look good. Targo is limited, but slippery and awkward, and he never really came to fight. So I think it was quite frustrating for Ryan because he would have rather closed the show, but really good for Ryan to get 12 rounds in the bank. And also, listen, really good to hear Ryan say after, I need another fight. I need to stay active, because that's definitely what Ryan Garcia needs in his life. I've got just the guy, Ak. I've got just the guy. Listen, there's a Cinderella story in the UK. It's a guy called Maxie Hughes, who's on the most incredible run in the division. Beat John O'Carroll, beat Straffon for the IBO world title, just beat Ryan Walsh. We're dying out for a big fight. He's the IBO world champion. We appreciate it's not one of the big four, but all those belts are tied up right now. Listen, there's a lovely place called Doncaster in Yorkshire. We can get 20,000 there outdoors for Ryan Garcia's first fight in the UK. We've got the bags ready, packed. We're willing to travel. So we hope that Maxie Hughes can get the call. He deserves the opportunity. And it's good to see Ryan Garcia understanding the need to keep busy. And it was brilliant to see him back.
Well, I was just with Oscar De La Hoya this weekend. I know you guys aren't the best pals. I'll give him a call right after this to interview him and make it happen.
When you look at the division, there's quite limited options in terms of opposition. Here you've got a good young British fighter who's, he's on a great run. He's a champion himself right now. And we'd love that opportunity. So ready to make that fight. But again, respect to Ryan Garcia. Brilliant to see him back in the ring again.
Are you saying that Ryan is not ready for the Devin Haney's, the Teofimos of the world, the Tank Davises?
I think, listen, they're the fights that he wants, and they're the inevitable fights to come in the future. But whilst those belts are held up, and of course Tank is fighting on May 28th, there's no disgrace in having another fight in June or July. One of the problems that a lot of these fighters have had is they haven't been active enough. So get active. He's had a good 12 rounds there to blow away the cobwebs. The numbers were great on Dazn. Like, he's a big star, Ryan Garcia. Right. So he's the A side. I'm not even though Hughes is a champion, I'm not looking for Hughes v Garcia. They can have all the sides they want. But let's get Ryan Garcia back in the ring. Maxie Hughes or not, let's get him back in the ring because he's great for boxing.
Yeah, well, he said it himself. He wants to fight another 2 times this year if he can. So hopefully, and he packed the house. I mean, there were 15,000 people out here in San Antonio. Now, earlier in the day, before Ryan Garcia, we saw the return of Gennady Golovkin and Murata. Eddie, the narrative that whole day was, Triple G was losing the fight. He rallied back at the end. Me watching the fight, I didn't see that so much. What did you actually see?
The judges didn't see that either. I mean, I think one judge gave Murata 1 round and the rest gave him 2 rounds. I think I would have given him 3 rounds max, but Golovkin was winning the fight at the time of stoppage. No question. Now listen, what people also, don't take into account is, number one, Gennady Golovkin hasn't boxed for over 400 days, right? Number 2, Gennady Golovkin flew to Japan to fight the king of Japanese boxing, Ryota Murata. Number 3, Gennady Golovkin always starts slow, right? And number 4, there's the argument of the age, etc. I'm not a big buyer of that. And number 5, perhaps more importantly, I don't think Gennady Golovkin should be boxing at 160 pounds. When you box there, how long has Gennady Golovkin been boxing at 160 pounds now?
Too long.
Yeah. So I think you see a little bit, a couple of times to the body. It's like, and that's going to be brutalizing him at 160 pounds. And obviously, if Canelo Alvarez beats Dimitri Bivol, the fight against them two will be at 168, and that will benefit Gennady Golovkin. No doubt about it. You know, Canelo is not a massive super middleweight. Those extra pounds are going to really help the tank of Gennady Golovkin. I actually go against some of the narrative. Most people have got an agenda in that narrative. Right. It was a really good performance. He went to the guy's backyard, he soaked up punishment, he come for a couple of tough rounds, and he beat him up, and he stopped him, and he knocked him out. And he unified the division.
Look, watching that fight, Eddie, I know you're thinking Canelo Triple G trilogy, right? Do you think that Triple G, Gennady, is still probably Canelo's toughest test? I mean, I know he's moving up in weight.
Actually. Yeah, I do because like if you look at the first two fights, I know 2-3 years ago, they were the toughest fights of Canelo Alvarez's career, without a doubt. So I've got to tell you, Ed, I'm not even talking about Canelo Alvarez against Triple G till this Bivol fight is over. I saw clips of Bivol. I'm going to post them after this interview. He's looking sensational on the pads. His footwork, his movement, his punching power. I'm telling you now, this may be the toughest fight of Canelo Alvarez's career outside of Floyd Mayweather. Wow. Coming up on May the 7th. This is a really tough fight. And look, if he gets through, the Triple G fight will happen, unquestionably. But it's all eyes on May 7th.
Is he fighting the best light heavyweight in the world? Meaning there's another guy out there that's going to be fighting Joe Smith, Arthur Beterbiev. Do you think
if you're talking about destruction, if you're talking about power, then Beterbiev is the guy. If you're talking about technical ability, mixed with a little bit of punch power, smartness, freshness, you're talking about Dimitri Bivol. Beterbiev is old, right? There are signs that, against Callum Johnson, against these guys. When have you seen Dimitri Bivol hurt in a fight? Like, when have you seen Dimitri Bivol really, really look like he might lose a fight?
Yes.
Never.
Yes.
How good is Dimitri Bivol? We're going to find out.
We're going to find out on May 7th. Look, there's a young lady that I guess should be heavy on a pound-for-pound list, Michaela Mayer, after a nice win. She's talking, I want the winner, Serrano Taylor. Is that possible?
No. Stop that. There's only one fight for Michaela Mayer. Alicia Baumgardner, right?
That's a fight.
We undisputed champion at 130 pounds. Now we've also got Choi. We need to try and make that unification. But if Choi's not ready, let's just make the fight. We need to make these great fights. Taylor Serrano, the best fight that can be made. Shields against Marshall, great fight. We talked about it last week. Mayer against Baumgardner, right? You talk about bad blood. You talk about, hot talk. Those two will go at it. Alicia Baumgardner makes her first defense now this Saturday coming in Manchester on the card. Let's make Mayer against Baumgardner. This is a mega fight for boxing. Two fantastic American fighters who will just go at it out of the ring, go at it in the ring. It's a sensational fight for boxing. And yes, the winner of that can maybe move up and fight Taylor Serrano. But first, let's find that undisputed champion at 130 pounds.
Yeah, those two ladies don't like each other. I totally agree with you. That's a hell of a fight. And you're talking about this weekend. The son of a legend, Conor, is back in the ring. Before we get to his fight, we were speaking this weekend with Alexis Rocha, who just stopped Blair the Flair Cobbs, and he wants a slice of Conor Benn. He's like, hey, if he's not ready, if he's not going to shoot for one of the big dogs, I'm here, I'm ready. What's up, Eddie? How do you like that fight?
That's a really good fight as well. We're under pressure to shoot for the big dogs because Conor Benn wants to go. And we talk about the challenge of Dimitri Bivol. I know that Chris Van Heerden hasn't got the freshness and probably hasn't got the quality of Dimitri Bivol. This is a tough fight. Van Heerden is really, really got plenty of dog in him. Conor Benn has never boxed a southpaw before as a professional or an amateur. This is a whole nother level of challenge for him. It's going to be a really good fight. I think it's going to be a tough fight as well. But after that, we want to shoot for the big names. Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia, Adrian Broner, those kind of people, Kell Brook. And if we can't get those, Rocha comes right back in. And I think he's a great alternative.
Look, and what about this fellow over there that's, has been in the game for a while, but is coming off a big win, Kell Brook. I know they're talking Danny Garcia, Kell Brook. I'm hearing rumors that they're in negotiations for that. What about Kell Brook?
That's the fight. We were willing to step back from the Van Heerden fight and make the Brook fight straight away. We made him a big offer, same kind of numbers that he got for Amir Khan. He asked for 10 million pounds, which in your money is about $14 million, which was a little bit out of my expectation for that fight. But all eyes on Van Heerden. I promise you, if Conor Benn gets through Saturday night, you're going to see him in a mega fight in the summer.
All right. One of the most talented boxers in the sport, in my opinion, Gervonta Davis. Obviously, he's been very vocal about not being happy at Mayweather Promotions, saying he's leaving after this. He's done there. Will there be a play to make a fight with, maybe Devin Haney after Devin? In my opinion, I think he wins these fights and becomes undisputed. Is there a play at Tank or fighting any other lightweight?
I know I've seen Gervonta Davis post stuff of other promotional companies approaching him. I'm not aware of his contractual position, so I won't be directing him. I won't be approaching him directly, but I can approach him on here and tell him that once his contract does expire, of course, we'd be willing to make him a fantastic offer. I know Gervonta is a great young fighter. He's one of the biggest stars in the game. Time for him to get what he needs, time to him to get what he wants. If he's not happy, again, don't want to get involved in that. But there's a great fight with Ryan Garcia on Dazn to be made, of course, with Golden Boy. And there's a great fight with Devin Haney after those two fights. But we would certainly be looking to pursue Gervonta Davis extremely aggressively if he was in a position where he was no longer under contract.
I know your relationship with Bill Haney and Devin is a good one. And the fact that you guys, like I said, you gave him your blessings to go out there and try to get those belts. After these two fights that he's contracted for, is there open discussions with you and those guys to move forward and him working with Matchroom and DAZN again?
It was tough, to be honest, after all the work that we've done with Devin Haney, all the money that we've paid him, all the investment that we've put in, the fact that he's a friend as well, and sometimes in boxing there's no loyalty. But to be honest with you, Devin Haney did absolutely everything he could to stay with Matchroom and DAZN to the point where he was about to lose the fight. And he can't lose that opportunity. And the loyalty that he showed, from the outset, you might not see it, but the loyalty that he showed, Devin Haney particularly, to me and Matchroom, means leaps and bounds to us. And I know that once these two fights are over, we're going to be talking again. He's got our unequivocal support for this fight. I may even go. I'd love to be there with him to see him, because I always dreamt, another reason that it's tough to take is we always talked that he would be my first undisputed champion. And he said to me, I'm going to make sure I'm your undisputed world champion. And I still see him as a Matchroom fighter, to be honest with you.
If he does get those belts, I think you can unofficially take that title.
Yeah, but it's not, at the end of the day, loyalty is really important in life, but so is chasing your dreams and creating legacy. And he could have, if he was stubborn and maybe a little bit stupid, just gone, I'm not doing it. And there are some fighters that would have done that, but he had to make a very tough decision. Yeah. And it's not really a decision that we really talked about, because I don't think he was overly comfortable talking about what he had to do. But I just messaged him and said, listen, mate, you've got our support and good luck, and it's something that you've got to do, and I hope he can become undisputed world champion. Speaking of contracts and fights, we all know that Canelo has another, after the Bivol fight, another potential fight with Triple G. You're a promoter, you have to plan ahead. If he does execute these two fights, is there a still plan to move forward with Canelo for the rest of his career with Matchroom? Of course. I think that you're talking about fighters that we want to work with forever. Devin Haney, one of them. We have a lifetime contract with Anthony Joshua, and I believe we'll work with Canelo Alvarez for the rest of his career. One thing we'll never do is become complacent. We have to keep delivering for him. Of course, he's got his fight on May the 7th. And then he'll fight in September as well with us, hopefully against Triple G if he beats Bivol. And then we're already planning our fight in December, could be in the UK. And, I want to take Canelo Alvarez all over the world. I think there's so many more boxes to tick with Canelo Alvarez. He's the greatest pound-for-pound fighter in boxing. He's the biggest star in boxing. He's a genuine, lovely man, but, I don't want to get too deep, but inspires me and gives me that energy and mindset to work harder. So it's a pleasure. We're going to give everyone a tremendous show on May the 7th. We're going to go above and beyond. It's my first ever time promoting Canelo Alvarez in Vegas on Cinco de Mayo weekend. I'm going to be walking around with a sombrero on, everything. This is a time to really enjoy life. this moment, and I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to that week as well. But if he does beat Bivol in Triple G, do you have a guy in your head, a name in your head that you want to go to next?
Well, you've got John Ryder is the mandatory at 168. You know, our British guy would be a great fight for London. And you've got Joshua Buatsi fighting Craig Richards in a light heavyweight eliminator. So we'll probably have the mandatory challenger for two of those belts in two divisions. So a lot will depend on where he sees his future. Obviously, he's going to be looking at the winner of Beterbiev against Smith for the undisputed light heavyweight world championship as well. But you know, this guy can basically do anything. But honestly, it's all eyes on May 7th.
Yeah. All right. Well, after that, you mentioned after that, you mentioned Joshua. I need to know what's the update on Usyk. Joshua, venue, date, something.
So I think we've got about 10 days till an announcement, roughly. And sort of end of June, mid-July is a couple of different dates we've got. As I've explained before, this deal is a split with Usyk and his team. So obviously they want to maximise the revenue from this fight, and quite rightly so. We'd like to do the fight in London, but also understand the money would be much less. So we're talking to Usyk's team. I think you're going to get an announcement 10 days, 2 weeks. The fight's on, the fight's happening.
Fight's on, we'll give not in jeopardy.
100% the fight's happening. We'll give you the date and the venue in due course.
All right. Hopefully you'll be joining us around that time so we can get an Eddie exclusive. Thanks for taking the time as always, Eddie. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Take care.